Welcome back to 9 to 5 Philosophy. I'm Hargreaves, and here we cover 9 to 5 solutions to the most complex questions philosophy has. In today's episode, we'll be covering subjective reality, the tricks of Descartes' demon, John Locke's counter-argument of a reality independent of the mind, and of course, the answers for our everyday laborers. Take off your blue collar and put up your mining hat as we break down philosophy and reality. Subjective reality, also known as solipsism, comes from the idea that the only concrete thing we know exists is our mind. French philosopher René Descartes is often credited with both popularizing and putting solipsism into concrete words with his sweet, simple phrase, "I think, therefore I am." This phrase, written and published in Descartes' Meditations, exhibits the idea that because we think, we must exist. Furthermore, his point is, since we can think of existing, something must be doing that thinking, and that something is our own cognitive ability. In addition, he uses this idea to say that we have no guarantee anything our senses tell us exists except for our own thoughts perceiving them. However, further into his Meditations, Descartes talks about the existence of a higher reality, beyond the one we currently live in. He talks about how some things must exist, because he can imagine them without ever having seen them. In his fifth meditation, he cites the existence of triangles in this higher reality, since he knows what a triangle is innately, without prior context or information. Descartes cites that he knows a triangle must have 3 angles and 3 sides totaling 180 degrees, and because he cannot imagine a triangle not following these rules, it cannot exist. In his 6th meditation, Descartes extrapolates this concept in order to argue for the existence of a god. He says that since he can imagine a perfect being, despite having never seen one, it must exist. Descartes is effectively trying to say that since he can imagine things he has never actually seen, they must exist in this higher plane. While Descartes claims there is a higher reality beyond what currently exists, he also posits in his Meditations that our inability to reach it is not due to accident or chance, but a malevolent demon tricking or hypnotizing us into seeing this false world. Descartes argues that this demon is incredibly cunning, very powerful, and dedicated to tricking us. He uses this argument of a demon in order to argue against the natural senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, and others, and prompting a skepticism towards every aspect of reality. While Descartes is skeptical of everything that exists and wasn't previously imagined or innately known, John Locke offers the idea that our lived experience is what makes up our reality. John Locke, English Enlightenment philosopher of the 17th century, argued a position contrary to Descartes' solipsism. John Locke argued that all information that was gained by people came from sensory experience and reflection on that sensory experience. He argued that we understood the world through our senses, and that was reality. In addition, he argued that our senses affected our understanding of the world, but did not outline what the world was actually like, just the manner in which we could perceive it. He argued that each person at birth was a blank slate, without any knowledge, and as we grew, we began to understand the world more and more. Additionally, John Locke argued that science came from this reflection on our experiences and senses. For example, he said that we see and feel how gravity works, and then reflect inwardly on what is making those processes happen. John Locke and Descartes have 2 polar opposite views on the nature of reality. But what does it mean for you, everyday laborer? Descartes' ideas lend themselves to skepticism and a disconnected view on reality. In some ways, the apathy towards the rest of the world is a relaxing cynicism to fall into. Not needing to worry about others' emotions because they aren't real makes every social interaction convenient. However, I would imagine most people still feel shame or guilt even despite this revelation. Whether it's because of Descartes' demon playing tricks or internal shame, the feeling is real. Conversely, John Locke's idea of a world that exists in our experiences serves as a curious and logical pathway to understanding what reality is. It means that no matter what, There is a framework of things that do exist because of our senses. However, it still feels like an incomplete defense against solipsism and leaves some answers wanting. It fails to address things like innate ideas. It isn't much of a parry, but rather an evasion to Descartes' meditations. So, for the 9 to 5 listener, what's the answer? Well, there isn't one. And there doesn't need to be. This world feels real to us. We can smell and see and taste the world even if we think it's fake. Furthermore, say there is a demon or a concrete world beyond our senses. How would we prove it? Ultimately, we can't, and it doesn't matter. Be content in this life we have, not an unsolvable mystery about what reality is. I leave you with this idea, listeners. Trying to get lost in the weeds of the foundation of our reality forgets the very reason philosophy exists as a study: contextualizing the world we live in. Thank you for watching 9 to 5 Philosophy, and have a good day.